Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Friday morning and I'm down here at Cockle Bay in the Darling Harbour region of Sydney, and as you can see, it's a glorious winter's morning, a gentle breeze blowing, just a little bit of light cloud in the sky, and a wonderful start to the day. I'm just going to go on a walk and talk like I normally do with Jim's 5am Club, and I'll be able to showcase the beauty of this part of Sydney on this particular day. The book summary that I'll be delivering today is entitled The Daily Stoic by an author known as Ryan Holiday, who's written a number of books. I like his style, I like the way he sees the world, and his messages are very, very empowering and useful indeed. So he kicks off this book with an observation where he says that we humans are complex beings and tend to overcomplicate things, and our lives suffer as a consequence. It's a really interesting point that he makes, that sometimes we are our worst enemies because we overcomplicate things, we overthink things, and we create problems in places where there really shouldn't be a problem at all. So the call to action from Ryan Holiday is to basically chill. And what he does is he looks at the school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece, the school of Stoic philosophy, and he calls upon us to look for a simpler life. What he says in this book is that our perception becomes our reality. So the way we perceive things, the way we interpret things, end up becoming our particular reality. And it's that perception that impacts our view of the world and how we interpret the world, and that perception gives course to our thoughts, our actions, and everything we do. So this book is all about trying to achieve a simpler life, and in order to do that, we need to, look at and understand our perception, because as we said, that perception influences how we think, and how we think influences what we do, and what we do influences who we become and what we achieve. So the author's first formal point to come from this book is that as humans, we must learn to control our perceptions about the world if we want to live purposefully. So it's interesting that he uses the word purposefully, because a lot of people, according to the author, are just drifters in life, don't have a purpose and just take things as they come. But the author here is saying that if we can control, if we can shape, if we can understand our perceptions about the world, we can also influence how we interact with the world and how purposefully we can live. So the basic building block, according to this author, about Stoicism is that we must look for a thing called emotional balance. So Ryan Holiday says that emotional balance is one of the keys. We need to be balanced in the way we see things. We need to be balanced in all things in order to live a better life. And what he says is that we need our minds to be objective, to be calm, and to be rational. And we'll talk a little bit more about this because it is really interesting. Most of us live in a life, in a world that is full of stress. We are bombarded continually with different messages, conflicting messages, and a lot of people suffer anxiety and are anxious. And this anxiety basically stimulates the part of our brain that creates us or creates an environment of fight, flight, or freeze. It creates fears. It puts us on notice. It has us worrying all the time and on guard. And what happens is that when you're in this state, this physical and mental state, then you can't think clearly, you can't act rationally because your brain is short-circuited. You're operating in the primitive, in the reptilian state of mind, which is fight, flight, or freeze. And what it does is it shuts down. It doesn't allow you to be rational. It doesn't allow you to think clearly. And hence, you can't live a balanced life, and you're basically living in fear, and you're having issues and challenges in places and in situations where you shouldn't be having issues or challenges, but those issues and challenges that you face are because you can't think clearly, because you're not relaxed, you're tensed up, you're stressed, and you're on guard all the time, which is draining. Now, we all know how it feels to be drained because we're walking on eggshells in particular social circles or particular work environments or particular family situations. So you need to basically relax is the key message from this author. You need to step back and to tap into your relaxed state, your state of stoicism, where you can seek balance, you can seek comfort, and you can make the right decisions. So the author goes on to say that the three core principles of Stoicism are perception, action, and will. And to understand, to get it through our thick skulls, that we really can't control anything, or anybody outside of ourselves. So once you understand that you can't really control anyone or anything outside of yourself, then that in itself is liberating, knowing that the only thing you can control is your response to these things rather than control these things in the first place. The author says that the only thing that we can truly control are our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. And we need to spend our energy and our effort and invest time in masterminding these things. Once again, in summary, we can't control what happens to us, but you can definitely control how you react to these things. And it's a choice. You can choose how to react. And the key message is don't hold onto anger, because anger will punish you. Anger will be the burden that you carry throughout your life and will always hinder your progress, physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually as well. So I remember years ago going to a Stephen Covey lecture at the Opera House, where he says that one of the great things about being human is that you have a choice. Animals don't have a choice. Animals are stimulus reaction. They instinctively react to whatever stimulus comes their way. But what Stephen Covey said was that humans have a gap between stimulus and response, and that gap is thought. We can think about things, we can assess things, we can balance things. We can see the first, second, and third level consequences of our actions. So what Steve Covey says is that ability to think and to balance and to measure enables us humans to be much different, much better, much more productive, much more empowered than our animal kingdom co-dwellers. So the fact that we can think about things frees us up to making decisions that are going to benefit our future and our present situation, of course. So the second formal point that comes from this author is where the author says that we need to work on controlling our actions instead of letting them control us. I know that when I was younger, I just couldn't control certain actions. You just, reacted in an animal-like function. But the author says here that through discipline, you can control your actions, and by controlling your actions, you're going to influence in a positive way and in a significant way the outcomes. By being calmer, by being centered, and by being aware of your actions, you are in a better position to act accordingly and to act in a way which is going to benefit you and those around you. Because action is the core component of Stoicism after perception is formed. So if we work hard on having the right perceptions, then the true and balanced and correct actions will be instigated. So the author here talks about being an actor. Now we need to stay objective through our chain of thought and to take action as opposed to just drifting in life and letting life take us where it wants. And the third key point from this book is will, our willpower, our will. Because will, as I was saying before, will is important because will gets us through life's bumpy rides. We need to keep hope alive. And the Greeks have a saying, and that saying is a very powerful, a very empowering saying, that the last thing to end is hope. So this third point about the importance of having will and a strong will is that it enables us to maintain our ambition, because will is also defined as unbreakable ambition, and it's made up of humility, resilience and acceptance. And the silent will, the will that we don't hear, it's not the gunners, the people who talk about the things they're going to do all the time, the ones who make the bold public declarations, but it's the people with the silent will are the ones who are the most powerful. I always remember my dear mother. She was a person who had a strong will, but her will was a silent will. She didn't boast about it. She didn't dramatize about it. She didn't make it a big issue. She just went on step by step, inch by inch, moment by moment, and tried to achieve the dreams that she had in her life, as well as the dreams and hopes that she had for others. We need to be able to learn how to harness our will and to enable us to deal with the obstacles that life will most certainly send us. The hurdles, the potholes, the hills, the valleys, the undergrowth, you name it. Each person's life will be characterized by many challenges. And according to this author, it's our will, our silent will, which will keep us going and keep us going along the path to our ultimate outcome. So life, as we know, is not simple. The more challenges we have, the more problems we face, the more capable we become in terms of solving those issues and problems. And as a friend of mine once said years ago, the person who embraces, the person who welcomes the most problems, the person who solves those problems is the person who ends up becoming the most successful, the most accomplished, and the most fulfilled of all. Because the more problems that you can solve for yourself means the more problems you can solve for others as well, and help them and help make their road a lot better than what it would have been without your contribution. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's an interesting book that we've been able to go through, the Daily Stoic, where we've learnt how important it is to keep life simple, to keep life easy, and to focus on the things that you can change, focus on the things that you can do, rather than blaming or using the problems in the world as excuses. Just do what you can do, respond in a positive way, live with positive expectancy is another key message that comes from this book, and do the most of what you have available to you. So thank you once again for joining me on this episode, and I look forward to coming to you again from a different place, from a different location, with a message of empowerment from all of these wonderful book summaries that we get to present. And it never ceases to amaze me that every single book that I have ever read, or every book summary that I've vlogged, I haven't learnt anything new. It just gives you a different perspective. It just gives you a different spin on things that enables you to piece together the puzzle, to get all your flags fluttering in the same direction, and helps you live, learn, and pass it on. Yassas, take care, and until we meet again, bye for now.